Welcome to the Celestial Saga channel. Imagine that you are an ancient entity that exists outside of time, in perfect harmony with the cosmos. But suddenly your peace is disturbed by people. How is this possible? Today we will tell you about a meeting that changed the way we think about balance in the universe. Two Zephyros Arcanes drifted serenely through the vastness of dark space, their energies weaving together as they reflected on the graceful ebb and flow of cosmic energy throughout the universe. The harmony of the cosmos is truly awe-inspiring. One of them mused, the balance of. But before the thought could fully form, a sudden blinding flash of light interrupted the stillness. A Terran ship materialized out of nowhere, zooming past them with an irritating hum, scattering their ethereal forms like mist caught in the wind. "What in the—" one Zephyros Arcanus exclaimed, their energies momentarily disrupted. The ship disappeared just as quickly as it had arrived, leaving the two Zephyros Arcanes flickering in stunned disbelief. Did something just fly through us?" the other one stammered, still trying to stabilize their form. "I think it did," the first replied, still recovering. "And I think it was Terran." Before they could fully process what had just happened, another flash erupted in their field of vision, signaling the arrival of a second ship. It barreled through them before either Zephyros Arcanus could react. "Oh, come on!" one of them groaned in frustration. In that instant, the Zephyros Arcanus found themselves, for the first time in countless eons, utterly at a loss. Panic gripped them as the Terran ships turned their once peaceful domain into a chaotic galactic racetrack. The Ascendants and the Terran Nuisancen, the boundless reaches of dark space, a realm untouched by the light of stars, the Zephyros Arcanus had long found solace. This vast expanse, beyond the grasp of time's passage, was their sanctuary, an eternal haven where the universe's most ancient and powerful beings had gathered since the very beginning of creation. In this place of profound stillness, far from the hustle of all life, the Zephyros Arcanus vigilantly watched over the cosmos. These beings, whose powers and wisdom were beyond comprehension, had served as silent stewards of the universe for eons. They were the unseen architects, subtly guiding the formation of stars, planets, and life itself, ensuring that the delicate balance of existence remained intact. Within this tranquil, undisturbed space, the Zephyros Arcanus pondered the mysteries of the cosmos, their thoughts flowing seamlessly with the very fabric of the universe. Each Zephyros Arcanus existed as pure, fluid energy, their forms ever shifting to reflect the infinite complexity of the reality they governed. Time, as humans understood it, was an alien concept to them. To the Zephyros Arcanus, a millennium was little more than a fleeting instant, a brief note in the grand symphony of existence. Their presence in this tranquil space was a testament to their unmatched control over the cosmic forces, a role they had held since the universe's birth. In this peaceful existence, the Zephyros Arcanus knew no disruption, no chaos. Their dominance over the cosmos was absolute, their wisdom unparalleled. They were the guardians of cosmic order, the invisible hands guiding the universe's unfolding in accordance with the grand design they had set into motion from the very beginning. In dark space, they found a perfect peace, certain in their role as the ultimate masters of reality. Thus they continued their eternal vigil, their thoughts drifting through the infinite possibilities of the cosmos, secure in the belief that nothing could ever disturb the harmony they had so carefully nurtured for eons. After all, they were the Zephyros Arcanes, beings of pure power and perfect wisdom, unwavering in their knowledge that they were the rulers of all that was, is, and will be. But even in such a vast and ancient universe, the unexpected sometimes finds a way to emerge, particularly in the most serene of places. And so, in the stillness of dark space, where the Zephyros Arcanus had enjoyed an uninterrupted peace for millennia, something new was about to take place. Something that would challenge not only their power, but also their patience. Without warning, the peaceful stillness of dark space was abruptly shattered by a sudden, blinding flash of light. It was no ordinary cosmic phenomenon, no distant star flaring into life or nebula collapsing in on itself. No, this was something entirely out of place. A small, strange ship tore through the fabric of dark space with a speed that defied all known laws of physics, leaving a wave of distortion in its wake. The Zephyros Arcanus, who had lived in harmony with the cosmos for eons, were completely caught off guard. In the blink of an eye, Their quiet domain was disturbed by this alien presence, an anomaly they had never once anticipated. Upon closer examination, the ship was unmistakably Terran. The Zephyros Arcanus had observed this species from afar, but had never considered them a threat or even particularly noteworthy. "What is this?" One of the younger Zephyros Arcanus pulsed, their energy flickering with surprise. "Impossible," another responded, their tone thick with disbelief. "The Terrans? How could they?" The Zephyros Arcanus turned their vast collective awareness to the ship, examining its structure, energy readings, and most astonishingly, its speed. The vessel was moving faster than anything they had ever encountered before, racing through dark space as though oblivious to the ancient beings it had just disrupted, faster than light travel. The eldest Zephyros Arcanus murmured, their voice carrying the weight of centuries. "No other species has ever achieved such a thing." A ripple of shock passed through the group. The Terrans, whom they had always considered primitive and fleeting, had somehow developed a technology that had eluded every other civilization in the cosmos. The sheer improbability of it was almost amusing. "They've done it," another Zephyros Arcanus observed, their voice a mix of wonder and disbelief. "The Terrans have achieved what no other race has," and in such a short time, the Zephyros Arcanus began to converse more animatedly, their initial shock giving way to a strange blend of curiosity and confusion. How had the Terrans of all species managed to skip over the natural stages of technological development? The Zephyros Arcanus, whose knowledge was vast and ancient, found themselves stumped by a mystery that was as bewildering as it was fascinating. "Have we underestimated them?" one Zephyros Arcanus wondered, their form flickering with an unfamiliar hint of doubt. "Perhaps," the eldest responded, their tone contemplative, though more puzzled than worried. "But what concerns me is not just how they managed it, but why. They're moving through dark space, our space, without even knowing it. Do they even realize where they are?" Another Zephyros Arcanus's energy pulsed with a question, uncertainty rising. Could they? The situation was almost absurd. Here were the Terrans, with their newly discovered technology, charging through a realm that had long been the Zephyros Arcanus' private domain, completely unaware of the significance of their actions. "Unlikely," the eldest Zephyros Arcanus remarked, their voice laced with a hint of amusement. "They're like children playing with a new toy, oblivious to the consequences of their actions." While the Zephyros Arcanus were still processing the unsettling implications of this sudden development, they couldn't help but be fascinated by the audacity of the Terrans. A species that had, against all odds, breached the barriers of light speed, something that had always seemed impossible, was now moving through the fabric of space as if it were just another day. And yet, they were completely unaware of the vastness of what they had just done. As the Terran ship continued its reckless journey through dark space, the Zephyros Arcanus observed with a blend of fascination and disbelief. Their peaceful existence had been disturbed, but in a way that was almost humorous. Here were beings of ancient and unimaginable power, now staring in bemusement at the very species they had once considered insignificant. This was the beginning of the first encounter between the Zephyros Arcanus and the Terrans, not one born of fear or hostility, but of an almost comedic curiosity. The Terrans had crashed into the Zephyros Arcanus sanctuary, and the ancient beings were left to ponder what this unexpected intrusion would mean for the future. The first jump, the hum of anticipation, filled the ship's bridge as the Terran crew prepared for their first faster-than-light jump. The air was thick with nervous energy, every display flickering with data as low voices exchanged final calculations and checks. At the center of it all stood Nathaniel Reed, a seasoned explorer who maintained a calm composure, even in the face of the monumental moment. His gaze was fixed on the central console, where the final countdown steadily ticked away. "FTL systems are green across the board," reported Catherine Brooks, the chief engineer, her voice steady, despite the immense weight of the moment. "We're ready for jump initiation, Captain." "Understood," Nathaniel Reed responded, his tone betraying a flicker of excitement that broke through his usual stoic demeanor. His eyes scanned the bridge, meeting the gazes of his crew. They had trained for this, speculated about it for years, and now they were on the verge of making history. "Let's make this jump count, initiate jump." With Nathaniel Reed's command, the ship's engines roared to life, building to the crucial point where the fabric of space itself would bend to their will. The sensation was immediate and overpowering, a sharp, rapid acceleration that pushed everyone back into their seats. For a split second, the entire universe seemed to stretch and contort around them, as if they were being pulled through the very threads of reality itself. Then in an instant, the ship was bathed in a dazzling array of light. Colors, strange, beautiful, and impossible, swirled around the vessel in patterns that defied all reason. The crew caught glimpses of the spectacle, but their minds struggled to process what they were witnessing. The moment was fleeting. The colors blended together in a blur before fading away as quickly as they had appeared. "Whoa, did anyone else see that?" One of the junior officers muttered, his voice full of awe and confusion, his eyes wide. "Yeah, but focus, everyone," Nathaniel Reed interjected sharply, his tone firm. "We'll analyze everything later. Right now, let's make sure we're in one piece." The crew snapped back to their stations, their attention fully consumed by the ship's systems. The strange lights and colors were quickly relegated to the back of their minds, dismissed as an odd, inconsequential byproduct of the jump. Their focus had shifted to the more pressing matter. Whether they had safely arrived at their destination, FTL transition complete, the Oliver Hayes announced, a grin spreading across her face as the readings confirmed their location. "We're exactly where we're supposed to be, Captain." The tension in the air lifted instantly, replaced by a wave of celebration. Cheers and laughter filled the bridge as the crew slapped each other on the back and exchanged high fives. They had done it. What was once thought to be impossible had now become a reality. They had crossed the life barrier and survived to tell the tale. "All systems are stable," Catherine Brooks added, her voice barely audible over the noise of the jubilation. "We've made a clean jump." Nathaniel Reed allowed himself a rare smile as he surveyed the crew, his team, the ones who had made this moment possible. "Well done, everyone. We've just opened up the universe. This is only the beginning." As the crew continued to celebrate, blissfully unaware of the cosmic forces they had unknowingly disturbed, their minds stayed focused on the immediate triumph. The fleeting colors from the jump were quickly dismissed, considered little more than a curious anomaly. What mattered most was that they had done it. They had broken the impossible barrier, and now the universe felt a little smaller, a little more within reach. "Prepare for the return jump," Nathaniel Reed ordered, still buzzing with the thrill of exploration. "Let's see if we can do it again." The crew eagerly set to work, excitement renewed as they readied themselves to leap back into the unknown, unaware of the vast cosmic powers they had just brushed against. "All systems are green," Catherine Brooks reported, her voice brimming with confidence. "The drive's ready to take us home." "Excellent," Nathaniel Reed replied, nodding approvingly. "Let's bring it home, people. I want to be back in time to make history twice in one day." The crew moved quickly, each person focused on their task as they ran through the final checks. The excitement was palpable. This wasn't just another jump. It was the chance to prove that their breakthrough was no fluke, that it was real, sustainable, and repeatable. If this jump succeeded, it would mark the beginning of an entirely new chapter for humanity. "Ready for jump in 10 seconds, Oliver Hayes called out, her hands steady on the controls. "Brace yourselves." The countdown began, and the now familiar hum of the FTL drive filled the ship's air. The crew braced for the intense acceleration, followed by that disorienting sensation of being pulled through the very fabric of space. Then, as before, the ship was enveloped in the strange, mesmerizing colors of dark space. The lights swirled and shifted in intricate patterns, filling the viewports with a kaleidoscope of hues that defied description. This time, however, the crew was less concerned with the spectacle. "Engine output stable," Catherine Brooks reported, her eyes glued to the readouts. "No fluctuations. Navigation holding steady," Oliver Hayes added, making minor adjustments as the ship continued through the jump. Though the crew noticed the strange phenomena around them, they were too focused on their instruments to give it much thought to them. These fleeting glimpses of dark space were just another part of the FTL experience, an oddity, but nothing more. Their priority was the success of the jump itself, not the wonders passing by outside. Before they realized it, the swirling colors faded, and the ship emerged into familiar space once again. The sensation of acceleration ceased, and the view outside the window shifted back to the cold, empty void of normal space. The ship had returned to its original location, unscathed. "We did it," Nathaniel Reed exclaimed, a wide grin spreading across his face as the readings confirmed their position. 2 jumps, 2 successes. The bridge erupted in cheers and applause as the crew celebrated their historic accomplishment. They had done what no one had ever done before. Not only had they broken the light barrier, but they had done so with precision and reliability. The implications were nothing short of staggering, all systems nominal, the chief engineer Catherine Brooks confirmed, her pride evident in her voice. FTL drive is functioning perfectly. This changes everything, Nathaniel Reed said, his eyes scanning the jubilant faces of his crew. We need to get this data back to command the possibilities. There are no limits. The crew buzzed with excitement, already brainstorming the potential applications of their newfound technology, long-distance exploration, rapid response missions, even interstellar colonization. Everything seemed within reach now. The universe, once vast and seemingly unreachable, now felt a little smaller, a little more accessible. In the midst of their celebration, the strange flashes of color and the phenomena of dark space were quickly forgotten. The crew had barely registered them, too focused on the monumental success of their mission to dwell on the fleeting beauty they had witnessed. Their thoughts were consumed with the immediate, the data they had collected, the successful FTL drive, and the infinite future it promised. As Nathaniel Reed gave the order to set a course back to home base, the crew eagerly complied, their minds already racing ahead to the next steps. They had made history twice in a single day, and now they were eager to share their achievement with all of humanity. Back at their home base, the crew was met with a hero's welcome. Word of their successful FTL jumps had spread quickly, and the air was thick with excitement as the crew disembarked to share the details of their historic mission. In the command center, a debriefing was arranged almost immediately. High-ranking officers, scientists, and engineers gathered around a central table, their eyes bright with anticipation. Nathaniel Reed, still riding high on the success of their accomplishment, took center stage. I'm proud to report that our FTL drive not only performed flawlessly during the initial jump, but also during the return journey, Nathaniel Reed began, his voice steady but filled with enthusiasm. We've confirmed that the technology is stable, reliable, and ready for broader application. A wave of approval swept through the room as the gravity of their achievement began to sink in. The implications were enormous. Humanity had just taken its first steps into a vastly larger universe, and the possibilities seemed boundless. The chief engineer, Catherine Brooks, stepped forward, displaying data from the mission on a large screen. As you can see, all systems operated within expected parameters. Engine efficiency, structural integrity, and navigational precision were all maintained throughout both jumps. This means we can begin scaling up production immediately. The room buzzed with conversation as the attendees discussed next steps. The focus shifted entirely to the technical and logistical challenges ahead, how quickly they could mass-produce FTL drives, how best to equip the fleet, and how soon they could begin large-scale testing. We'll need to retrofit our existing ships with the new drives, one officer noted, already planning ahead. If we can get this technology fleet-wide, we'll be able to reach the farthest corners of the galaxy in no time. Agreed, Nathaniel Reed said, nodding. We can start with outfitting our exploration vessels, and then move on to the rest of the fleet. This technology changes everything. Our ability to respond to threats, to explore, to colonize, the possibilities are endless. As the discussion became more animated, any mention of the strange phenomena encountered during the jumps was quickly dismissed. One junior officer hesitantly raised the subject of the brief flashes of color and light they had seen, wondering if they might deserve further investigation, but the suggestion was met with little more than a dismissive wave. Probably just a side effect of the FTL process, Catherine Brooks said, brushing it off. We'll figure it out as we refine the technology. Right now, our focus needs to be on getting this capability to the fleet as quickly as possible. The officer nodded, silenced by the pragmatic response. The room's attention was firmly fixed on the practical applications of their newfound capabilities, not on the fleeting mysteries of dark space. The beauty and strangeness they had witnessed were nothing more than anomalies, unimportant compared to the monumental achievement of mastering faster-than-light travel. By the time the meeting concluded, plans were already taking shape. The excitement was contagious as the crew and their superiors mapped out the steps necessary to mass-produce the FTL drives and extend humanity's reach across the galaxy. Talks of new missions, colonies, and unexplored frontiers filled the room, an entire galaxy waiting to be discovered. As the meeting broke up, Nathaniel Reed lingered for a moment, his gaze fixed on the data still displayed on the screen. A deep sense of pride washed over him. This was the beginning of something truly extraordinary. "Let's get to work," he finally said, his voice brimming with resolve. "We've just opened the door to the stars. Now it's time to step through." The crew and their superiors filed out of the command center, their minds already racing with thoughts of the future. Their focus was on the immediate and strategic advantages of their new capability, eager to expand humanity's frontiers and cement their place in the galaxy. And as they began to plan their next steps, the fleeting phenomena of dark space were quickly forgotten, dismissed as little more than an oddity, an afterthought in the face of their monumental achievement. Little did they know, in their haste to conquer the stars, they had already begun to disturb forces far beyond their understanding. High above Earth, a massive space station hovered, its sleek metallic form glinting in the sunlight as it orbited the planet. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with excitement as the most influential leaders, scientists, and dignitaries from across the Terran Confederation gathered for an announcement that would change everything. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, the culmination of years of hard work, innovation, and determination. The grand auditorium was packed to capacity, each seat filled with the brightest minds of Terran society. The air hummed with anticipation, buzzing with the significance of the occasion. This wasn't just another event. This was the celebration of an achievement that eclipsed anything in humanity's long history. At the center of the stage, a massive screen displayed an image of a ship in flight, its engines glowing with the unmistakable power of faster-than-light technology. "A new era begins," scrolled across the bottom of the screen, emphasizing the magnitude of what was about to be revealed. The lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the crowd as the Confederation's most senior leader, a figure known for his steady leadership and visionary foresight, stepped forward. He paused for a moment, surveying the sea of eager faces before him, each one a testament to the dedication and hard work that had brought them to this pivotal moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the weight of history, "today we stand on the edge of a new era, one that will forever alter the course of humanity." He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. "As of this moment, every capable ship in the Terran fleet has been outfitted with faster-than-light technology." A wave of applause erupted, echoing through the vast auditorium. The leader allowed the crowd to express their excitement before he spoke again. "With this technology, we now have the ability to perform tens of thousands of FTL jumps every single day," he said proudly. "This means that we can deliver essential supplies, equipment, and personnel across the galaxy with unmatched speed and efficiency. No longer are we bound by the limitations of distance. The stars are now within our reach." The screen behind him shifted to show a map of the galaxy, dotted with countless points of light, representing the ships now equipped with FTL drives. The image was nothing short of breathtaking, a visual testament to humanity's newfound ability to navigate the cosmos. "From this day forward, humanity will no longer be confined to a single world or a few neighboring systems," the leader declared. "We are now a galactic civilization, capable of extending our influence, our culture, and our people to the farthest reaches of space. This accomplishment dwarfs anything we've achieved before. It marks the dawn of a new age." The applause swelled, and the crowd stood in a unified standing ovation. The energy in the room was palpable: pride, hope, and the electrifying rush of boundless possibility. They had done it. They had opened the door to the stars, and now there was no stopping them. The leader gestured for the crowd to settle, a smile playing at the corners of his lips as he continued, "The implications of this technology are vast. We can now deliver critical supplies to our colonies, explore new frontiers, and establish trade routes that will connect us to worlds we've only dreamed of. Humanity will thrive in ways we never thought possible." As he spoke, the screen displayed images of ships making FTL jumps, supplies being delivered to distant colonies, and new planets being surveyed for potential settlement. The scale of what had been achieved was staggering. "We are on the verge of something truly extraordinary," the leader continued, his voice thick with emotion. "And all of this has been made possible thanks to the dedication, innovation, and bravery of people like you, scientists, engineers, explorers, and leaders, who dared to dream of a future where the stars were within our grasp." The applause returned, louder and more enthusiastic than before. This was a moment of triumph, one that would be etched in history for generations to come. As the celebration continued, attendees mingled, sharing their excitement and discussing the boundless potential of what lay ahead. The station hummed with activity as plans were formed, deals were made, and new alliances were forged, all focused on expanding humanity's reach into the galaxy. As the celebration began to wind down, the leader stood back, gazing over the crowd one last time, his heart swelling with pride. They had done it. Humanity had taken its first monumental step toward a future far beyond anything previously imagined. With the stars now just within reach, there was no turning back. Humanity was on the move, set to claim its place in the galaxy, one FTL jump at a time. But amid the celebrations, the strange phenomena that accompanied the FTL jumps were mostly forgotten. The fleeting flashes of light and color, the brief sensation that something greater was at play, were quickly dismissed in the wake of such a momentous achievement. The focus had shifted entirely to the practical, spreading humanity's presence across the stars and asserting its dominance in the galaxy. The first week after FTL, what began as a mere curiosity soon spiraled into a cosmic comedy. In the span of just a single Terran week, practically nothing in the grand timeline of the Zephyros Arcanus, the tranquil silence of dark space had been shattered by an unrelenting barrage of Terran ships. They appeared at random intervals, tearing through the void with all the finesse of a hyperactive toddler, utterly unaware of the chaos they were causing. At first, the Zephyros Arcanis had been intrigued by this unexpected development, but that initial curiosity soon faded as the intrusions grew more frequent and more disruptive. No matter what the Zephyros Arcanis were engaged in, it seemed like a Terran ship was bound to show up at the most inconvenient moment. One particularly wise Zephyros Arcanus, known for its contemplative thoughts on the nature of dark matter, was in the middle of a particularly eloquent soliloquy when a Terran ship suddenly materialized and passed right through its form. The ship zipped past, leaving the Zephyros Arcanus sputtering in disbelief. Dead? Did that just happen? The Zephyros Arcanus pulsed, its usually tranquil energy crackling with surprise. It did, another replied, barely containing a burst of laughter. Straight through you. No sooner had this moment passed than another ship zoomed by, narrowly missing the eldest Zephyros Arcanis, who had been engaged in a deep discussion on the balance of universal forces. The conversation ground to a halt as the ship streaked past, creating a trail of distorted energy. Really? Now? The eldest sighed, their voice tinged with irritation. They have the worst timing. Impeccable, really, another Zephyros Arcanus commented dryly. Though their annoyance was evident despite the humor, the disruptions only escalated. The Zephyros Arcanus, deep in a philosophical debate about existence itself, would suddenly be interrupted by a Terran ship that crashed through, scattering their thoughts as if caught by a gust of wind. It wasn't just one or two ships, it was an endless parade of them, appearing and disappearing at random intervals, each more oblivious than the last. They're like cosmic gatecrashers, one Zephyros Arcanus grumbled, after yet another ship interfered with an enlightening conversation on temporal mechanics. No manners, no sense of decorum. How do they even manage this? Another Zephyros Arcanus wondered aloud, watching a ship zip by without a second thought as it flew through a conversation on quantum entanglement. Did they wake up one day and decide, let's poke holes in reality? The Zephyros Arcanis, once the very definition of infinite patience and poise, found themselves increasingly rattled by the constant stream of Terran ships. Their attempts to study how these humans had managed to develop FTL so quickly were continually interrupted by the very ships they were trying to observe. The vessels appeared at the most inconvenient times, during important Grand Council meetings, deep meditations, and just as the Zephyros Arcanis were about to unravel some great cosmic truth. It was as though the Terrans possessed an uncanny ability to show up exactly when they were least wanted. They're completely oblivious, one Zephyros Arcanus sighed, watching yet another ship whiz by, narrowly avoiding a highly dignified elder. They have no idea they've turned our domain into a galactic obstacle course. As the week wore on, the initial curiosity that had surrounded the Terrans' FTL breakthrough was replaced by mounting frustration. In their ignorance, the humans had inadvertently turned dark space into their personal playground, with the Zephyros Arcanis nothing more than helpless onlookers. They're like children with fireworks, one Zephyros Arcanis muttered, dodging another ship as it flew past, loud, messy, and utterly unbothered by the chaos it caused. Despite the growing irritation, there was an undercurrent of reluctant amusement. The Zephyros Arcanus, for all their boundless power and ancient wisdom, were being thoroughly outmaneuvered by a species that didn't even know they existed. It was ridiculous, maddening, and somehow hilarious. And so, as the Terran ships zipped through dark space, the Zephyros Arcanes could do little more than endure the chaos with as much dignity as they could muster. The once serene realm had been transformed into a cosmic racetrack, and the Zephyros Arcanus, blissfully ignored, had no choice but to watch as the oblivious Terrans kept racing by. After enduring this relentless parade of ships for what felt like an eternity, though in reality it had only been a few Terran days, the Zephyros Arcanus finally decided it was time to intervene. Surely, with their immeasurable power and wisdom, they could find a way to communicate with these oblivious humans and put a stop to the constant disturbances. But as they soon realized, this was easier said than done. Their first attempt was simple enough: a subtle ripple through the fabric of space-time, a message any sufficiently advanced civilization would recognize as a signal. The Zephyros Arcanus waited, anticipating that the Terran ships would slow down or even halt altogether in response to the cosmic signal. But to their surprise, the ships continued to zoom by, unaffected by the gentle cosmic message. Did they even notice? One Zephyros Arcanus asked, their voice laced with growing frustration. Apparently not, another responded, watching as yet another Terran ship zipped past. Completely unaware, the Zephyros Arcanus decided to try a more direct approach. Channeling their combined energies, they created a sharp, powerful distortion in dark space, an unmistakable signal that should have been impossible to ignore. But once again, the Terran ships simply blazed through, unaffected by the cosmic signal. "They're like ants," one Zephyros Arcanus remarked, the exasperation in their pulse clear. "We're trying to explain quantum mechanics and they're just marching along, oblivious to everything." It was a fitting analogy. The Zephyros Arcanus, for all their unimaginable power and understanding, found themselves in the absurd position of trying to communicate with a species that seemed as unaware as ants scrambling over a picnic blanket. The humans, lost in the thrill of their new ability to streak through space, were completely unaware of the cosmic forces trying to reach out to them. "They probably think they're the first to discover all this," another Zephyros Arcanus said dryly, observing another ship dart by. "They have no clue they're trampling through our domain like bulls in a china shop." Undeterred, the Zephyros Arcanus decided to take one last, more dramatic measure. They crafted a monumental construct of light and energy, a magnificent, awe-inspiring spectacle that surely even the oblivious Terrans would stop to admire. But to their disbelief, the first Terran ship came speeding toward it, and did the unthinkable. It zipped right through the construct, scattering it into a million shimmering particles as if it were nothing but mist. "Unbelievable," the eldest Zephyros Arcanus pulsed, their voice tinged with resignation. "They just flew straight through it." It was becoming painfully clear that no matter what the Zephyros Arcanus did, the Terrans were simply too oblivious to notice. The humans, in their blissful ignorance, continued their reckless journey through the cosmos, causing havoc without even realizing they were intruding on the Zephyros Arcanus sanctuary. "They're like children with a new toy," one Zephyros Arcanus sighed, watching as another ship blazed past, completely unaware of the chaos they were leaving behind. As the ships continued to barrel through dark space, the Zephyros Arcanus were forced to accept the unthinkable truth. There was no way to communicate with these humans. Despite their vast power and wisdom, the Zephyros Arcanus simply couldn't make the Terrans understand the cosmic disturbance they were causing. And so, they could do little more than watch, with a mix of frustration and reluctant amusement, as the humans continued their oblivious journey across the stars. It was, in every sense, futile. Trying to reason with the Terrans was like trying to engage in deep philosophical discourse with a colony of ants. The once serene and undisturbed dark space, a domain the Zephyros Arcanus had called home for eons, was now a chaotic highway for the Terran ships, each one rushing through like a child exploring a new playground. At first, the Zephyros Arcanus were filled with frustration. Their peaceful existence had been disrupted in ways they had never anticipated. But as days passed, that frustration gave way to a quiet resignation. The Terrans, it seemed, were here to stay. At least their ships were. So the Zephyros Arcanus, beings of immense patience and adaptability, learned to coexist with the humans' newfound technology. They began to anticipate the sudden arrival of Terran ships, adjusting their activities to minimize disruption. Cosmic debates were moved to more secluded locations, far from the unpredictable paths of the Terran vessels. Meditations and reflections were scheduled during brief moments of calm, when the Terrans seemed to take a break from their high-speed joyrides. In time, the Zephyros Arcanis even began to find a strange humor in the situation, chuckling softly as another ship zoomed by, completely oblivious to the ancient beings it passed. What had once been a source of irritation now became a peculiar form of entertainment. It was a reminder that, no matter how long they had existed, the universe still had the power to surprise. "We thought we knew everything," one Zephyros Arcanus mused as a particularly fast ship blazed by, "and yet here we are, adapting to a reality we never imagined." The others nodded in agreement. The vast ancient universe had once again shown that even the Zephyros Arcanis were not all-knowing. The Terrans, with their unpredictable FTL travel, had introduced an element into the cosmic order that the Zephyros Arcanus had not anticipated. It was a reminder that no matter how much they understood, the universe still had its surprises. And so, a new normal was established. The Zephyros Arcanus resumed their eternal watch over the cosmos, continuing their role as guardians of balance and harmony. But now, they did so with the occasional interruption from a speeding Terran ship. They had come to accept that dark space would never again be the tranquil haven it once was. Yet, they found peace in this new reality. In the end, the Zephyros Arcanus were left with a renewed sense of humility. The universe was not simply a canvas for their designs, it was a living, evolving entity, full of mysteries and surprises. Even for beings as old and powerful as they were, the Terrans, in their innocent exploration of the stars, had unknowingly reminded the Zephyros Arcanus of this truth. The universe is vast, unpredictable, and full of wonder. And so, the Zephyros Arcanus resumed their watch, their serene presence once again filling dark space. But now, alongside their eternal vigil, there was the occasional flash of a Terran ship streaking across the stars, a reminder that even the masters of the cosmos could be surprised.